while ago, but at least in California, it's just a long day. It's just you're so wore out by the time you get there, but you're on alert. That's it. You just keep your mouth shut and keep your eyes open. 9 times out of 10, you're going to run into somebody you know on the street. So once you do, it's all downhill from there. But like I said, when I first got there, when I first got to, well, we were in the hole at Chino, then they send us over to West Yard, and of course, when I walk in there, there's my uncle. There's one of my uncles. So yeah, I mean, I got taken care of right away, and got schooled and got told, and this is who to look for. This was my homeboy. This is his homeboy. Go talk to them if you run into them. It was just about learning. If you just kept your mouth shut, didn't hang out with the first person to come up to you, because you don't know what that person's bringing with them. And it was it was a shock, but it was a learning shock. Once I got with my uncle, and he started schooling me on it, I could see it. Yeah, it's weird, but I guess a criminal just has that kind of mind. You just learn quick because if you don't, you get hit.
Yeah, no question.
Hmm.
Casper, you remember your first one?
I do, man. And it wasn't a violent place. It was a really soft place. I was just really emotional. I just remember my first day there, and I got to the unit. I met the guys, and they called me to medical for something, and I just remember, and there was no one on the yard, and I had to walk from the unit to medical, and I remember just kind of like getting super emotional, like realizing I'm
Where
in
the
prison.
hell am I?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the craziest feeling, but I'll never forget that walk and that feeling that I'm there. And then after that, it was just game on.
Yeah.
I became someone I'm not, and did it to the very end.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Did it
saw
to the
a guy.
very
A guy.
end.
I saw that guy get killed with that dumbbell the first week I was in there when I got to West Yard that day, actually. But that was
Yeah, that's
a
that's
shock.
ugly.
Yeah.
That's ugly. The first one that I went to. I mean, you want to talk about a dangerous prison yard where people were getting booked and slammed all over the place.
I
And we should
do.
talk
I
about a different
do.
prison yard because that was not the one I went to. The first one I went to was Disneyland. I had no
Yeah.
perspective whatsoever. It was summer camp
Same.
for bad people. It really
Same.
was. We went to a 30-day fish tank. You're locked down 23 hours and 45 minutes, and you get out for 15 minutes to take a shower, make a phone call, mail a letter, do whatever you're going to do, but you got 15 minutes. And that's every other day. So
Yeah.
the other days, and this is for a solid month. And more embarrassing and heinous things happened to me. This was long before the pre and all that. And when they walk you in the beginning, it's in a rotunda like this, one big, huge, round deal. And there's probably 250 cells, right, around
Yeah.
the outside of this thing. And they strip you out in the middle of it. The whole crew. You just come in, everybody takes their clothes off, and they leave you standing there for a good 20 minutes while all of these weirdos catcall you. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
yelling the
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
foulest stuff. It was a good time. But
Yeah. The prison I was at had the same thing. They called it Fish Row, and
Fish
you'd be
Row,
there
yeah.
for 30 days. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fish
Yeah.
tank, fish row, and all you do is fish, right? You got a line with a little car on
Did
it.
that
You throw
too.
stuff down
Well,
and try to. And we were allowed to smoke back then, so you could smoke in there. It was a very very different time. Holy hell! My fiance is in the
I
house.
was going to
Hey
tell you, your wife
Reese.
is here.
Hey Reese. I'm trying to not
Quibble.
call her. I'm not trying to call her Quibsy as much. It's
That's so. I
don't
just
want.
stopped myself from Car Quibsy because that's your name for her. So I said
Well, and someone else
Quibble.
mentioned, they said, "Hey, Tommy, can you call her anything else?" And all of my really good names are just filthy, and I can't say them on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I never got that terrified feeling that everybody talks about. But
Mm.
my 1100th day in prison or some shit, when I got to Lewisburg, Like all the things I had heard people describe about their first day in prison, it was game on. You know, when they brought me to my unit, like, and we walked down this hallway and there's just water dripping. Like for real, there's water dripping in the hallway all over the place. And I'm looking at it, there's puddles and shit. And I was like, what the deuce?
Wow.
And the hallway is I'm talking, I'm not joking. When you spun line, you needed about 240, 250 feet to go from one side of the tier to the other. It's almost a football field. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So at the end of it looks like it's this big as you're looking down the hall and it's just water dripping. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
And this criminal life thing has not worked out. I kind of want to be a banker.
I tap out.
I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm out. This isn't fun.
Yep.
You know, and then I got in my cell. No joke. I get in my cell and there's no window in it. I got to that unit in February and in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and I get in there. There's no window. I'm like, you got to be woofing me, bro. When are they replacing the window? He's like, oh, I don't think they're going to be replacing the window anytime
They're not
soon.
really worried about that.
No. And my cellie had been there 7 years, so he had a pretty good idea. You get trapped in the SMU and you don't go anywhere, man. He was there 7 years. He's no longer with us. May wherever he's at, may they have some mercy on his soul because he was a pretty sick
Rest
puppy.
in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. But he went out like a gangster. They sent him to Victorville, kind of like one of those penalties where they know you're not going to walk out onto the yard. You're just going to be stuck in the shoe for 12 months because he pissed people off, and he walked right out onto that yard like he owned it. Got to tip your hat to pimping because he was about 5'4". He was about 5'4" and 155 pounds, soaking wet in combat fatigues. But he marched right out to that yard, and to his credit, he made it about a day and a half.
Yeah.
But, it didn't work out for him very well.
Right.
But, you know, give it a shot. I think he was tired of being locked up in prison. I think it was it was an exit strategy.
Yeah, he beat him. He beat him out of the rest of his time. Yeah. Oh, brother.
They'll let anybody in here, won't they? Casper, I thought you were working the door.
Yeah, man.
You were supposed to be shooting jiggers. You're fired, man.
Yeah. Give a girl a podcast.
You
Man,
let my girl and your girl walk up on us without anybody seeing it. Dude, you're fired, dude.
You know what?
What are you hitting the
Mariana
sauce
today,
before we go?
Yeah. Today she goes like this to me. She goes, we were in the shower. We did just took a shower together to save water, you know? And she's all,
sure.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
She did that thing that Quibble always does, you know, like with her eyebrows.
She was
and I was
working
like,
the
oh
eyebrows.
my God, you and Reese are going to get along so good. You guys are going to get along so good.
You guys are making me jealous.
Yeah. You got to get
Because you're hard timing it. We saw you earlier.
Yeah.
Loving.
I got mine right.
Looked like
out
he
of
was
the
waiting
box.
on the stress box. Freaking. Do you remember those dudes that would go get on the phone? You'd see him waiting in line, and you know that as soon as they got on that phone, he's just talking to his wife, and it's just the worst, the saddest things in the world because you can hear him in the corner going, I heard somebody in the background. Who was it? You can hear somebody.
Yeah.
You know there's nobody in that house. She's going, good God, I'm listening to the television set. There is no Sancho, bro. Yeah, hard timing on the stress box.
That's funny.
It really is, though. Sadly, it is.
Best prison burrito? I mean, they're all pretty good. I mean, I can tell you what the worst one is easier than I can tell you what the best one is.
Don't go to the junkie burrito because there's nothing better than a monster honey bun slathered in peanut butter, turned sideways with a nutty bar in the middle of it, and then chocolate drizzled over the top. Yep, put outside to harden up after you microwave it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Great for the diabetics. Or the
for real. You can honestly go into a diabetic coma from it, and I used to do about 3 of them a day back in the before the brakes were installed.
Before high cholesterol.
Before you got them Shimano brakes, you only had the Shimano brakes.
I don't have discs yet, dude. It's a step-up process I'm working on.
Yeah.
No freewheel.
That's right. Tommy fam, the content is always spot on, so raw and honest, and give people their opinion without prejudice. Big love. Well, thank you. What a cool thing to say. I really appreciate that.
Sister.
It's
sister.
Great place to be. It really is. Yeah. Bunnyfoot and Quibs.
Thank you so much.
Well, there's a name I hadn't heard yet, but Bunnyfoot and Quibs. Sounds like one of those shows from the 70s, remember? 10 Speed and Brown Shoe.
Remember
Remember
that?
Do you?
Of course I
am I
do.
tickling the
Jeff
brain? Am I tickling the
Goldblum?
brain?
Who was it was Jeff
Ben
Goldblum.
Vereen.
Yeah, Ben Vereen. Yep.
Thought I was just another
Wow.
pretty face. I got the
Wow.
trivia. I got the trivia.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, brother. How about not Welcome Back, Kotter? We always talk about that, but Barney Miller, man, Barney Miller was good.
Oh, boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
Great bass.
After, here's a question for you guys, and I know how it was for me. But when you got into jail, county or prison, did you have the rot gut? Or were you just eating everything, or were you sick, Tommy?
Oh, I couldn't eat.
Yeah,
I
you
always,
couldn't eat.
I always went in there with the, with the skids.
Somebody
I
give
was
me a
always
piece of
coming off a
TJ?
snack.
Yeah. Somebody got a
But
piece of candy.
Didn't even need a
how about
toilet.
when that goes away, you get that long gut. You know
Yeah.
that long gut where you can just eat and eat. And,
Like you're
oh
putting all that
man,
weight back on.
yeah.
Oh yeah. About a month in, you get a tapeworm. You can't stop eating to save yourself. Like you can't
Right.
stop.
Right.
That's when you're always politicking to get a job so you can get extra food and all that.
Kitchen,
Yeah.
Boss who's
yeah.
pushing trays, man. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get some
I
extra
know.
food.
An old Corturo, old school Mexican dude, man. He told me, man, he's like, I see you, Casper. You got that long gut, man. You always got a bowl of food in your hand. I was like, yeah. Until something hits, I'm gonna eat.
Yeah. Yep.
Marmelo says, I still watch Barney Miller almost daily. That is straight gangster. I love that. You know what? I know every episode. It's one of my favorite shows. My dad
My
and I used to
favorite
watch it
episode
religiously.
is when the Asian dude he gets high 'cause someone brought in some
Yamada?
brownies.
Yeah.
And
Yep, eats the brownies.
dipping them into things, going mushy, mushy, mushy,
Into the coffee.
mushy, mushy, mushy. I love
Yeah.
that scene, too.
And Fish is so damn happy because he turns into Super Cop. He's like, the one day I feel fantastic. It's got to be illegal.
He reminds me of Eeyore or somebody up of Winnie the Pooh.
This old man chases me across 3 rooftops. He hops down and he's looking at everybody in there smiling. He's all hopped up on hash. Great script. Great script.
The good old days.
When you have your parole hearing, did you intuit the outcome? How long after the interview do they let you know what is happening? So did you guys have a feeling one way or the other if you were going to get it? Did you know you were going to get it or not get it for parole?
I've only seen the board one time and I knew I was going to get it. It was in a state, and I only knew because I seen all the dudes before me who, no one was getting flopped, and dudes, it was their first board, and they had, violent charges, and mine were like soft. I knew I was going to get it.
Nobody got hurt.
I've only had one. Yeah, in the state, I only had the one, and I didn't want it. Like everybody said to me, I was still strung out on dope, man. Like I wasn't going to pass any drug tests. I was still doing smack every single day. And this place was Prisonland. You could order a pizza there, and I'm not even being funny. They had a place you could buy pizza.
Right.
This place was candy land. So for me, it was like I didn't want to go back out and have a parole officer. So I went in, no joke, and they said, why should we believe you're going to be better this time? And I went, you can shove parole up your ass. I'm not even joking. It's exactly what I said. Like I was I tried to be the biggest jerk I could be. I said, I'm gonna get a hooker and a bag of dope. Screw you. I was just such a jerk, right?
Get out of here.
Yeah, and my caseworker says to me, "Hey, in here, come on, let's go to Scoville." I go walking in. I'm like, he goes, "I need to talk to you about your parole hearing." And I went, I said, "Listen, man, I just didn't want it." He goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "Well, the stuff I was saying, you know what I mean? I didn't mean any of the stuff, but I didn't want it." He was like, "Well, you got it." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you got paper." I was like, those dirty sons of... I mean, I was salty about it. I'm like, man, I literally told them I didn't want it.
That's what it boils down to. They needed the bed,
Yeah,
but you know what I did? No joke, right? This old black guy says to me, he goes, how much time you got? I said, about 125 days. He goes, well, stall him. I go, how do you do that? He goes, put down the wrong address. And I go, man, I said, I couldn't fake an address. I go, but I couldn't even fake an address. I couldn't think of anybody's house I knew. And he's like, call somebody. So the first time I called this dude I knew from the hood, and I'm talking about this is in the hood, bro. This old black Vietnam vet I knew, and I said to him, "Hey, man, I want to put you down as my parole house." And he goes, "Are you shitting me?" He goes,
Yeah.
"Man, he goes, you ain't gonna pass that." He's like, "Bro, you know what this is?" He goes, "We got bottles on the table." I said, "Perfect." And he goes,
Yeah.
"You trying to not get it?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I got you."
Yeah.
So my first one, they called me in. They said, "Hey, we went out to see your boy. You cannot be there. That's not going to work. You need to put down another one." And I went in there, and I swear to you, I put down the governor's mansion. And then my my caseworker called me in, and he's like, "That's cute." He goes, "If they say you're violating, I can take your good time." And he's like, "Right now, that's 230 days." I was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh
Ooh.
boy." So I
Yeah.
gave them the real address, but they never got a chance to get to it. I stalled long enough, and it ended
Yeah,
up
yeah,
working
cool.
out. So I wouldn't. I've never except this last time because I was always doing dope, always. So it's like I had to. You try the Whizzinator, you get caught with that, and then you try the gallons of crap that you drink, right? Because I couldn't be sober. The only time I
Yeah.
ever got through paper, and I got through it. It's crazy as hell. If you're a criminal, pay attention because this is genius. But if you really want to get through it, you just got to not get high.
Yeah.
No, I mean it. That's it. Because everything else, like if you did anything else wrong, they're going to go, you're good. The only one they're really going to railroad you back for is if you're getting wasted or literally catching felonies. But like the
Right.
petty shit, they're not going to give you crap for it.
Yeah,
My,
like,
my PO came over and said, he goes, "Nice watch." And I go, "Thanks." And he goes, "Is that a Rolex?" And I go, "Not a real one." And he goes, "Kind of looks like a real one." And I go, "It's not a big deal anyway." And he goes, "If you spend more than $500, I need to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For any reason." And this was when I was married to the attorney, right? And she pulls in the Mercedes AMG, still got a paper
Yeah.
tag on it. And he looked outside and he goes, "Oh, that effing better be in her name." I said, "100%, brother." I'm like, "That's got nothing
Yeah.
to do with me." But if
Yeah.
you're passing your tests, they don't care.
They don't care.
It's simple as that. Stop doing dope, and everything kind of falls into place. I didn't get
Life
one
happens.
friggin' write up.
Yep.
I didn't see the board at all. Mine was pulled way before that.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
cool.
even get a chance. Yeah, I got way too many write-ups, way too many shoe terms. I was on
Yeah.
diesel therapy. No, I
Way too many packages from the street.
Yeah.
broke my TV, my fan.
Way too many amenities.
Right.
The only reason Russ has stayed out is because they did away with the continental breakfast. If they had kept that crap, he'd have stayed in there. Right? Well, they did that in the feds. Do you remember that stupid thing they used to do on Sundays? Is that the drinking memorial?
Yeah, it's the drinking memorial. This is my buddy, man. He reminds me, man. He reminds me.
They used to have a coffee. They used to have a coffee hour on Sunday, and the felons could all go down and they would have like just coffee. And no place ever really does it. It's in all the handbooks. But when I got to Sherodice, they do it every Sunday, and they give out these cinnamon rolls, and they're on par. I swear to your wallet, they're on par with like Cinnabon. They're about this big. They're conservatively speaking 65,000 calories. Right? These things will plug your arteries in seconds. And guys are like wheel and deal for them all week because they bake them in house. So if you go, "Give me 2 of them," every guy will do it, even if it's not your race. So you wheel and deal during the week for your 2 on the weekends. I didn't need them. I didn't need them. I was at that time I was trying to like maintain a 6-pack. I got there, looked at one of those, and went, the last 3 years of working out would be out the window eating 2 of those. Everything I've done will be gone like that. And we all died. Those things were deadly. But the boys would hang out up there like this with newspapers and their coffee cups and talk. And the weirdos, the clickers, the guys that were in there for bad paperwork would have to stand up. They weren't allowed to sit down.
Yeah, they got to give it up when they get it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, those guys, I bet they would have just been happier to be crushed and shipped off the yard. I had never been on a yard where there were weirdos, like out in the open where you knew they were there until I got to Sheridan. I go into the unit and they're like, "Don't go up and ask anybody on the bottom, like the really short row." You know what I'm talking about, Casper, because they're the ones always next to the offices. But there might be 4 cells there in a row. It's that really short row. He goes, "That's Chomo row."
Oh my god.
Wow.
Swear to he's like, everybody on there's got bad paperwork. He's like, they keep them all right there so they can keep an eye on him. He's like, but that's
That
they
was
all
at a
got bad
medium?
paperwork. That was at Sheridan, Oregon. And you know what?
Wow.
Anybody that's done time at Sheridan, Oregon will come out and go, there weren't anybody like they were like that, because none of them want to say that they were on a yard where there were dudes like that. Trust and believe, they're there. Plenty of them. And ain't nobody hiding it either.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I might have an issue with somebody. Yeah.
Oh no,
Not
they're
that they were
there.
there. I don't care about all that. It's something else.
They're
something
politicking
else.
it. Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
There were a lot of, and the funniest crap in the world is you'd see these dudes and they'd have like political ink all over them, and I went up and said, hey, when the white boys at the yard I was at found out where I was going, because we had a fairly we had a big homie on the yard, right? And he was like, look, man, you go there. He's like, you got to crush somebody when you get there. If all of the rumors are true, when you get there, dude, you just got to crush someone. And I'm like, I got 6 months to the gate. Like, I'm going to get there and crush somebody? Bro, I'm going to get there and take a nap. That's what I'm going to do. I ain't crushing nobody.
Yeah.
But I got there, and the crazy thing is the guy comes up and goes, hey, man, you got your paperwork? And I was like, yeah, I can have it for you tomorrow. You can't carry anything on the bus anymore. I'm not hooping crap 6 months to the gate. But I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I can get all my stuff sent in. I'm like, so you guys check paperwork? He's like, we do. He's like, but not to smash fools off the yard, but just so that we know who we can talk to and who we can't. He's like, that's Chomo,
That's right.
bro.
Yeah. They just checked it for,
But when you
for
get to the chow
offense.
hall, they're like this. They're standing up in the chow hall with their trays at every meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy, bro. Crazy.
Yeah. And-
They'd be on
and
the
they
phone,
probably couldn't go
talking
into
on the
the
phone, and
TV
guys would
rooms,
come in and
right?
hang them up. Hang up the phone, take a break.
Yeah.
Beat it. They treat them dirty. They treat
No,
them
we didn't have anything like that. In where I was.
Something's got to happen to them.
Yeah, they wouldn't last 3-4 hours, if that. Until
No,
we found
every
out
yard
what
I've
it
ever
was.
been. That's the only.
Well, and
I've never
anywhere
been on a
else.
yard that tolerated them until I got to that one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a couple on the yard where you just kind of think that they might be, but there's always that one. But these guys were, everybody knew who they were. In fact, they had their own little hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There were the clickers and the touchers. The clickers are just the people that looked at images. And they think that they're okay. It's those other sick bastards.
Yeah. It's those guys who actually touch you.
In
Yeah,
possession
crazy,
of
right?
child pornography,
Justification.
This is bad, It's
Hell
just as
yeah.
bad. I don't
Hell
care
yeah.
who you are. I mean, there's a couple that I dealt with personally that were on the yard that didn't.
Did you ever get time at Leavenworth?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, Casper. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Marmelo is asking, did any of you ever spend any time at Leavenworth?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. I thought you were asking me. I was like, yeah, I
No,
thought you knew that.
I knew you did.
Yeah, absolutely I did. And I was only there for a second, and I actually flew out of there. I was on a violation. So I think I was there 30 days. And
It's too bad. It's a cool yard, I hear.
no, it was super cool. The 30 days I was there, I enjoyed it. The cells were tiny though.
Yeah.
The kind of cells
Big
you
ass
want-
wall around it too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was built around the same time as Atlanta,
Yep.
Lewisburg, all the scary prisons.
Yeah. All the late 30s ones, they built in the
That's
late
right.
30s.
Exactly.
The cool thing about, or I don't know how cool it was, but you could literally like sit on your bunk with your back against the wall and your feet touching the other wall. So you had
Yeah.
like this much space in between your bed, and and the toilet's at the end of the cell. They were small. But it was neat. It was like give you that like, hey, I'm really in a prison feel. You know what I mean? Lots of history, lots of photos.
All
Like walking
prisons
down the
are the
hallway
best.
to the main door or like to R&D. It's like a museum of like black and white photos. Super cool.
I really dig the architecture of some of the old stuff. Lewisburg's
Yeah.
freaking incredible. There's a bunch of them that are. Lompoc's another one that's pretty cool to look at. But the best piece of real estate in America, the best undisputed coolest piece of real estate is it's got San Quentin sitting on it.
Oh yeah.
Think of where that is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Yeah.
the best piece of real estate in all of California. And it's got a prison
Yeah.
sitting on it.
Yeah.
Folsom is like that. Folsom is dug into. I mean, it's almost like they dug into the side of a mountain for the hole. And then
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. They get-
Old
There's a lot of
Folsom? Old
There's
There's a
Folsom?
lot of art on the walls of those places. Guys
Yeah,
painted
there
and
is.
stuff. Yeah.
In Folsom, we had cells that had 2-inch bands, like the grate instead of bars. We had the 2-inch
Oh,
flat bands on the doors. It was like a waffle. And yeah, those are insane. There's not much many left. I don't know if they still use them today, but back when I was in, they used those. Have your own
wow.
lock. Yeah. You have your own
That's
lock, your
crazy,
own
man.
key. Yeah.
You know what was cool when they flew me out of there? I flew out of Kansas City, and man, it was the first time I had ever dealt with TSA. Really,
Really.
or maybe, yeah. So, I mean, since I had been to prison, yeah, first time I ever dealt with TSA, and I was like, they're like, take your shoes off, stand over there. I'm like, I just got out, so
Right.
I'm just like, what the heck? Yeah, it was crazy.
Panicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I went through that for a while. Every single time I flew. I'm not joking. For a really long time, every single time I flew. But the last 2 or 3 times I went to bug tussle, I didn't get harassed. Maybe they've come to realize that I'm no longer the international man of mystery. That I once was. Love these Nightyard vids. I hope this isn't weird to say, but Casper, you remind me so much of my dad before he passed. He spent a bunch of time in
Oh
prison too, but you remind me so much of him. No, I don't think that's weird.
no, that's an honor. I appreciate that. If
Hopefully it's not because you're
because
older.
it sounds like you really loved your dad. Hopefully it was a good experience. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it was more of a you're a wicked old dude, but you take
Right.
it any way you want. You know what I mean? We're not gonna. You're looking a little weathered, I think is.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? If we didn't razz each other, this wouldn't be a prison show. You should hear what they would have said if
Yeah.
we were
Right.
inside. I'm
Oh
being
my
kind as
God.
hell.
Yeah,
Oh
we are.
yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about this. National Guard called in and prisoners allegedly rioting. I would not be surprised at all to find out that the prisoners are in fact rioting. One of their own was unalived. No two ways about it. This guy got taken off of planet Earth by people for no reason, and they weren't well informed enough to realize that when they turned off their body cameras, they were going to continue to record. They may not pick up sound, but they picked up video for a period of time, and it's so that guys can't do this kind of crap.
Hmm.
And remember what we
Didn't
said the
realize.
other day that
Yep.
you remember someone said, "Well, I wonder if they can see the video or something." Remember we said eventually someone who has a cell phone is going to start
The
talking about
story
it.
is going to get back to the
It's going
fellas.
to get back, and it's going to get bad. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can if I were inside right now, keeping it real. Look, the mob mentality, the gang mentality. I can sit out here right now and say it's that's stupid and this and that. But when you're in there and you're in the middle of it, we went every single day for a month in the SMU. Every day, every guy on the range said, "You're not getting these trays. Come on in and get them." Every
Nice.
single day. Yeah, and did it until they tapped out. But I had huffed enough pepper spray, and each day you're like, yeah. No. Who the hell is that guy? But
Yeah.
when that mentality starts to kick in, you'd be really surprised at what you're capable of. Honestly.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you right now the fellas are pissed. I mean, righteously pissed. They got every reason to be really, really salty and keeping it real. The black guys are probably the most pissed.
Yes.
That looked racially motivated. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not a race baiting kind of a guy or any of that, but I'm also
Yeah.
not stupid. And
Yeah.
it kind of looked
They
awfully
will
white.
go. The brothers will go if it's something that they really think they need to stand on.
Hmm.
Oh, I
will go.
promise you.
Yep.
Vivian P says the whole system is rigged on your behalf. Believe it or not, no one cares about you. No one. Friends, family, courts, doctors, counseling, etc. They don't care about you nor anyone else. I do. Just
Yeah.
no, I
I
mean
do
it. I
too.
mean it. For the longest time in my life, I
I
did.
care about you.
Yeah.
That was a
But
crazy comment.
there are some people. No, but the reason I highlighted it is I have felt like that for probably three-quarters
Sure.
of my life.
Yeah.
And it's for me, and I'm not saying this is you. I promise you. But for me, I had to paint that reality. Because if I took that reality away, and I started to realize the people that actually cared, it created an issue for me in my life. So I kind of had to bullshit myself in order to keep doing what I was doing. And
Mm-hmm.
once you peel that onion and you get in, for me, once I peeled that onion, got into recovery and started to figure out everything, the number of people that cared about me through all of that, it was astounding. But I would have sworn on a
Yeah.
stack of Bibles I didn't have anybody that cared during it, because it's just kind of
Yeah.
how my brain works.
Yep. I
What
totally
about
get it.
using loved ones' ashes in a tat?
No.
So, well, I do that, and a lot of people say they do it, and I've heard tattoo artists who are like, "Yeah, I just told them I did it." How am I? I do it. I take I always get this wrong, not a pumice stone, but a pummel.
doo-doo.
And he said fart.
He said doo-doo.
Did I say doo-doo? What I do?
Dude.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. I take the ashes and I crush them in like a stone, and I take witch hazel and I just try to get them as crushed as I can, and then I mix that into the ink. I add a little extra black pigment, and just so it attaches itself to the actual ash, so it's actually in there. Because those ashes, if you don't crush them up, will settle to the bottom of the ink thing, and you're not really getting them in. So you really have to crush them up, and that way I can say, yeah, your loved one's ashes are in that tattoo.
Wow.
I do.
I mean, you could get sick from that too if people don't do it the right way.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Aside from meeting all these guys, best memory from prison. I talked about this yesterday, so I feel weird talking about it. So I feel weird talking about it again. But I had epiphany moments in prison. I met a guy that had literally done twice as much dope as I did daily, and realizing that this guy got clean was one of those things where I was like, that can't be possible. I mean, that means that I could have been doing that all of this time. It may sound really stupid, but I really did believe that I was differently far gone. Like everybody I knew that was addicted to this crap puked at least once in a while. Like the stuff would get them, and I never ever vomited. Like it just never happened to me. Guys OD'd, I never OD'd. I always just thought to myself, I'm different than everybody. I was built for this crap in a way that other people weren't, and I convinced myself of this crazy shit in my head. And when I met a guy that was doing, seriously, just under a half a zip a day, and was sober, like he had gotten clean, and he was saying he was using a 3cc syringe to bang the stuff. Look at that cute little teacup there. But the moments like that, and then there were some moments of where I would see humanity come out in ways that you just can't believe. I mean, as much as there's ugly and there's people stomping each other out and all that, I've seen holidays where guys came together to rally behind people that had nothing, and people from other races hooking up people that are outside their car and doing it on the DL, because it's just there's some stuff in there that I saw that was pretty cool. It's definitely, there's a lot less of that shit than there is the ugly, but there are some moments, to be sure.
Yeah. Yeah. New York governor sucks.
Yeah, well, Margie Barr says the problem in New York is the strike. The New York governor Hochul has messed up the prison system. Can you and Tommy please cover the strike in New York on your shows and the follow-up? Mainstream media is not covering it. I absolutely will dive into that. And you know what? There have been many changes made to the system during the administration, and it's worth talking about, because as there are so many people that want to see the prison system be more humane. And it means so much to them that men get treated better, that women get treated better when they're incarcerated, that they come up with laws like, well, can't ever put anybody in solitary confinement ever again, right? You can't take someone to the ground, right? You can't take someone to the ground. These inmates will kill you. You put a rule in that you can't take, they're going to kill you. And then they're going to sue you for it along the way. Unfortunately, the people in prison are bad folk, right? They don't round us up at universities and churches. And it tends to be a violent place if guards can't be violent back. But what happened in that video is not at all. There's no book anywhere that trained for any of that. The guy's sitting there with his hands behind his back, all but unconscious, and a guy just hits him in his side. His autopsy said every one of his organs were bruised.
Jeez. Well,
Yeah.
we seen him put that boot up into his rib cage.
Yeah, real hero,
From
right?
this angle, is laying down, and my God, man.
It's terrifying that human beings can treat other human beings like that. But as I've said, I'm listening to myself say now that every day for 30 days I allowed them to come in and beat the crap out of me and pepper spray the cell because I wanted my radio and pictures of a girl. Sounds like the dumbest friggin' thing in the entire world. But at the time, like, we were ride and die on this crap. There was nobody that was going to back down on this, and we were going to do it 3 meals a day until these people tapped out. You know, you're not getting your trays back. Come in and get them. And eventually they did. But to that mentality, and when you get caught up in the mob, I think that these guards got caught up in hatred, in bigotry, right? I think these guys were racist. I really do. And I think that, oh, you know what I think.
I do. And I remember when I was like, man, I see this, I see that, and I see racism. And I looked at the look on your face and you were like, oh no, I don't think so. There was a couple black guys there, or a black guy there. And then when we watched the video, there wasn't. And so, because I was like, oh, I stand corrected, because, you know,
their press release. Their first press release talked about how this was not racially motivated. In fact, some of the people there now, there very well may be someone who was, you know, who was black, that was a nurse that we didn't see in the video or whatever. But the people putting hands on this guy,
it could have been, yeah.
It looked like an Asatru.
It just happened
like the fellas out on the on the land.
Yeah.
I mean, this happened last year or recent?
This happened just before Christmas. Jason P., you rock, brother. Thank you. The honor is mine.
Thanks, Jason. Awesome. That's awesome, brother.
It took this long to come out?
Well, so the grand jury indictments, they really, in their defense, it's kind of like watching the Rodney King case. They're going to have to match injuries on this dude to who delivered them. So they're looking at all this from different angles, because the autopsy is going to come back and they're going to have to say, okay, what do you think the cause of death was? When you watch all the videos, there is a officer shoving a rag down this guy's throat. If you ever saw A Few Good Men, there's the scene, you know, the whole premise of the film is that they gave this guy a hazing, right? They gave him a...
yeah.
Right. So, and they shoved a rag in his mouth, which caused... a chemical reaction that basically killed the dude.
Lactosis.
Well, they did this to the guy, right? They do it on film. You can watch Brooks having this thing shoved into his mouth, along with all of the everything else they did. They brought this guy to to the end of his life, and it never should have happened. There was no reason for it at all. By the way, he was being transferred for his own protection, which is so ironic. Go ahead, Russ.
Was this? I mean, were any of the guards black, or were they all white or Mexican, or no?
All white. All of the ones that you can see who are putting hands on him. But in the video, I counted 6 people that are actually involved. 6 people did get charged with second-degree murder and with second-degree or first-degree manslaughter. And that, those, aside from that, in all, 13 people were charged. But there are some people that have already turned states, and they're going to be testifying. The B lady, years ago, my husband was interviewed for a job at a college in upstate New York. And part was teaching psychology to a federal prison. They told him the system is overfilled, so there are always prisoners in transit. True? Oh, there are always prisoners in transit.
Oh, yeah.
There's a prison in Oklahoma that stays for pretty much full, at all times.
Yeah.
There's an overflow there, but it's always people coming out every day and people coming in. So that at any given time, there's probably 2,000 people there. 1,500 to 2,000 people going in and out. There's another one of those facilities in Pahrump, Nevada. There's another one of those facilities in Atlanta. They're always moving crap tons of people. Allegedly at $34,000 a flight. Per inmate. That's what they claim it costs when you get relocated from one prison to another in the feds. Con Air, all of that, the whole process, they claim it costs 34 grand per inmate. So
Man.
you got any idea what Casper could have bought? Good God, Casper. With all the disciplinaries, we could be sitting on a mansion between the two of us. We
On
could
a
buy half of
mansion.
Malibu.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. God.
Man,
I spent a lot of time on Con Air. I made. It's pretty funny too because the first time you go on, everything is kind of fascinating, and you're looking around. And by the third time, you're just looking at people that have never flown before. Because your first flight's always a little scary, but if you're shackled, right, and you're in here like this, going, "Holy crap!" Oh, that's always.
And I always think like, man, what if this plane does go down, but we're able to we don't get killed on the crash? And
everybody in there is thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah,
All right,
every
brother.
single person in that plane is having the same thought, and I know this because I have sat next to people who I was homeboys with, and we've had this conversation. And maybe it's because we've all seen Con Air, or we've seen the what was the other one, U.S. Marshals. Where the guy goes to ski, because that's actually way more like Con Air than Con Air is.
Yes.
U.S. Marshals is way more like
Way
Con
closer.
Air. Yeah, except you're not bolted to the floor ever. They don't secure you to the floor of the plane. They don't have to. You couldn't go anywhere if you can't move your hands or your legs. You got about 8 to 10 inches of travel in that chain.
Yeah.
Although I always got the Frankenstein ones because my cankles are too big for regular. They don't fit the regular ankle cuffs on.
That's
me.
crazy. Me too. So
you got the leather ones. Those are the business. Or they would use the plastic ties to do it, but you could walk.
Yep.
Everybody else's ankles are killing them. Oh yeah, you're a boss. That's nothing better. And the soft shoe pass, the other greatest hustle in the system.
Yeah, man, I was never able to get it, man. I tried, and I made a fake one for a little bit, and yeah.
Good living. Living. Especially when they came out with the Bob Barker Chuck Taylors. I had high tops and low tops. Bob Barker Chucks.
What?
Had them in black. Yep.
Yeah, I had the
gangster.
low tops. I didn't have the high tops. Yeah,
they were the shoe to have, to be sure.
I was the only one on the yard that had those, and then with Dickies and the way I dress, have my shit all buttoned up, felt like I was on the street, man.
You know what though? Casper looked like he was on the street on the yard. He did. He'd have the hat on. He'd have the collar up with the shirt buttoned all the way up. He'd have the socks pulled up. You'd be rocking it.
The white tube socks all the way to your knee.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Shorts cut down too. So the clam digger shorts with the socks pulled. Yeah, no, for real. He definitely had the look.
Yep.
I personally wasn't. I wasn't leaving the cell unless I was playing bocce.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was doing a lot of chemicals on that yard. Just terrible ones. I'm embarrassed. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about it. I'm embarrassed for you, brother. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a homeboy right there.
Well, yeah.
No, but it was one of those times. It was.
Yeah, it's
I would have been huffing gasoline if it was the only thing on that yard. I mean, that's kind of where I was at that point in my life. You know what I mean? I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. I'm not kidding. I would hit yards and be like, "Hey, is anybody abusing anything?" You would get to Victor, and you get to a real legit ass yard. You do any substance you want, they're all there. I mean, literally everything. Yeah. But you'd get to yards like a Black Canyon or whatever, and you'd be like, hey, what's everybody doing to get high? Nothing. Can you get me some nutmeg from the kitchen? You know what I mean? Is there a kind of frog here we could lick? I was deep in the addiction, bro. I was doing something. Forget about it. I'm looking for the psych patients and going, what are you taking?
I never shared my Percocet hustle with you there. I should have shared that with you, but I didn't. I didn't realize to do it.
You had Percocet.
No, here's the thing. I don't want to.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to put our fake Indian friend on blast, but you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Well,
I do.
Once he was dubbed a legitimate Native American, giggity,
he became a millionaire.
He's whitest man you ever seen in your life. Tons of facial hair, completely bald.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's a Native American, and he got these fat ass paychecks. And once that happened, Then he was actually getting real dope, you know. But
Yeah.
that was right at the end of it. Things were great for about 35 days, and then
Yeah.
I screwed everything up, you know.
Yeah,
And that's
I
always
remember
how it is.
hitting him up
Tommy.
towards the end there, like, man, I know you're doing something, and he just,
Oh, he was knee deep in it, and he
yeah,
didn't
I
care how
wasn't in
much
the
money
same
he
unit
spent.
with him, so I couldn't really put the hard press on him.
Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. Robert Hall
Yes.
says, Tommy, was Lewisburg the worst prison you ever spent time at? Yes and no. To be honest, the nicest prison I ever spent time at was the worst prison I ever spent time at, because when we went to the shoe, it was so disgusting. I mean, it really was just so gross. It's not to be believed. You know, that was hard time. I mean, it wasn't so much when Casper was there. We were laughing a lot and screwing around. But once Casper was gone,
Making jump
you know,
ropes.
I had a like a string of lops, one right after the other. So now I'm in a cell where there's 3 guys in a 2-man cell. There was a couple of fights and there was cockroaches everywhere. Like, I was miserable. It was a tough place to do time. But I mean, Lewisburg was just bad because it was scary as shit. Like, you pull up and the whole prison is inside the fence. So the administrative building is not outside or anything like that. The fence goes around everything. So the cops, everybody, they're all locked inside that. It's a really bizarre setup. It's the longest freestanding wall in North America that has, that surrounds anything. It's massive.
Yeah.
And it's intimidating.
Well, a buddy of mine used to say that he could hit a home run over that wall at Lewisburg. Is that possible from the softball field?
Well, here's the thing with the softball field. There's about 5 of them.
Right.
So it really just, I mean, they're big enough where, depending on which one you're at, a howitzer isn't going to get it over the fence, you know?
Right.
But there are some of them where if you really get a hold of one, no.
Yeah.
You're not.
No?
But I've never seen it. I mean, you might hit
Yeah.
high up the wall, but it's a shot, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
that's a
said
shot.
he can hit it over the wall at Lewisburg. So I don't know if it's true or
That's
not.
a pretty impressive hit. If he did, I'm not,
Yeah.
that's a pretty
Was it a
impressive
soft-
hit.
Hey, he was
Was it a
double
softball?
tough and he wasn't prone to lying. So
Well, it could be.
yeah.
Probably on that creatine, juicing.
Oh, he was huge, man. He was
White
huge.
boy creatine.
And he could fight, man. Oh my God. Only guy I was ever really intimidated by, and he wasn't that. Yeah, he's a scary dude.
I'm going to go with
That's what-
Lily.
Everyone wants to know what your puppy's name.
I know. I told
It's
him.
not my
Lily.
puppy, but I'm still going with Lily. Very cute.
Lily
animal.
Mae. Yep.
Is it Lily?
Lily Mae. Yep.
Lily May.
Yep. My little girl.
Get over here now. Lily May.
You're stuck.
Wow. Teresa Clay says, my female friend is starting a new job at corrections at 400 count prison in Florida in a couple of weeks. Any advice? Note, she is tiny but smart. I wonder if she's guarding the fellas or the ladies, because that would, just situational awareness. I think that's what they would tell her too.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
never turn your back to anybody, and just be aware of everything that's going on, and hit the deuces quick. Don't be shy. If you're nervous, just call in the troops. Get a bunch of
Yep.
backup. But I think you'll find that most guys are really, really respectful of the women that work there. That's been my experience anyway. Really,
And they will look after her. They will. If they
No
like
question.
her, they will look after her.
They will look after her for sure.
Yep.
Especially if she's petite. She's off to a good start, because they always feel like they gotta be ready to push up on anybody that's messing with the petite anything. You know what I mean? The sense of bullies and stuff. Bullies don't do well in the joint, pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will
How often
pick
does
out-
anyone get parole the first time, unless their record is Snow White? Probably
That's
depends on the
correct.
state a lot, don't you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, it just depends on the state, what you're doing, how packed the prison is, what your clear conduct is in the prison, if you've been not breaking any of the rules. There's so many factors, man. There really is, and
What's your charge?
your charge, your case manager,
Who's in office?
who's
Not
in
joking
office.
at all. It's got a lot to do with who's in office. Whole administrations will change entire parole departments. I think a lot of times parole officer jobs are kind of rewards, And I don't mean the guys that are, I'm talking about the people that sit on the board, the parole board jobs. Because those people, they come down and they go, it's almost just, seems to me like they got a real cushy gig.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it depends on the state. Sometimes they're just forcing people out the door. You know, sometimes, like I remember, I've told this story, but I was in a county jail for a long time because I was facing a bunch of bank robberies. So I was going to be there for 16 months. And they used to call down to Unit 1 and say, like, what's the vacancy? Because that was going to determine whether they're ORing people back there or they're sending them back. It's, you know, it's not that this isn't justice. If we got any room back there, we'll, you know, we'll send them back. But if we got no room, we'll just be kicking them out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Really, really crazy.
That's super crazy.
But I don't, in the feds, they're not really paroling anybody.
No, they parole you because they know they're going to get you on that paper.
Right?
Just to start it all over again.
That's right. Come on vacation, leave on probation, come back on revocation, clean it up
Utah.
on.
That's Utah right there, boy.
Right?
Yeah.
I've heard Tommy talk in the past, but I wanted to know if Russ or Sam had seen anything supernatural inside. You guys ever see anything that freaked you out?
Wow. That's a crazy question.
There's being an old Folsom or going to the shoe there, because it's so old and all the bad things that happened there from the past. At night, you feel like you can, you know, if you catch things the right way or the wrong way, whichever way you think about it, there's shadows that don't make sense. But other than that, no. I mean, I don't know if you'd call that supernatural or just something else.
So
I don't know.
yeah. So rather than answer this, I just talked about something that was semi supernatural the last 15 minutes of the last Morning Mayhem show. So I'm going to put a link to that episode in the chat. And if you get a chance, and this isn't me plugging it to get views or anything, but I literally talked about something that was supernatural that happened to me inside. So I'm going to do that right now. It's about the last 15 minutes of the show. There you go. I put it in the chat.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's worth a listen, and I think anyone that's seen it will agree. Yeah, on Casper's Caboose. That's the new. When you leave, Tommy, I'm doing an extra 15 minutes, and we're gonna call it Casper's Caboose.
Well, how about that? I
You weren't there for that.
It's the perfect name.
Yeah, Casper's ass in.
Oh, here's a good one. I'll go a little out of order so that I won't just highlight it. Here we go. Oops, that's not the one. What percentage of your tats were done on the inside versus what percentage of your tats were done on the outside? 100% done behind the wall.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
how about you, Russ?
That quarter sleeve I got, well, part of it was done inside. And I've got more on my chest that were done inside. Other than that, I would say 50-50 for me.
So, my very first tattoo I got when I was a baby. I'm not kidding. I was a real youngster when I got my first tattoo.
It was this concentration camp number.
It was a long time ago. My very first tattoo I got a long time ago. But I got that at a tattoo shop, like in the days before autoclave. I'm not even being funny. But the rest of them, no, I think I did 3 on the street and a crap load inside. A real crap load inside. And you know what's crazy? The ones I regret, I got the ones I regret most of those I got on the street, oddly enough.
I have street tattoos, but they've been covered up by prison tattoos.
There you go.
Yeah.
Still here, like a rash. 14 months. You know what, Krista Melinda? You're funny as hell.
Love her.
And thank you for your wrench work, because you're absolutely incredible with it.
There's no
That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. Pretty badass with a wrench, she is.
Yes, she
Yep.
is.
Dangerous.
Did you ever ask any of your native brothers to sage your cells?
No, I never
Well,
did. I mean, I had plenty of them, on a level 3, but
Yeah.
no, we never were cool like that. They
Casper?
were
I
real close. Sorry.
No, you're
no,
good.
that's all right. So in the state here, there's a huge native population in the state here in Montana. Yeah, they will sage, and if you can go to the sweat lodge on Saturdays if you're invited, if you're not a native, and they would invite me all the time, and the first time, because I'm the tattoo artist, so and the first time they invited me to the sweat lodge, and I know this isn't the question, but I love this story. The guy who invited me spun a towel over my head like this, but I didn't know it. And basically what he did is he burnt the back of my ears. It's like an initiation thing, but literally burnt. The back of my ears were blistered from the heat of this, because it's like a fire with hot rocks in the middle, and and they pour water on it, and it's sweaty.
Sauna.
It's a sweat lodge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
And
sauna.
it's like a sauna, and man, it burnt the shit out of my ears. But yeah, they would do that. They would smudge. They would do it all, man. They would do it all. They had a pipe holder in each unit, and a feather carrier. There's all these cool things that they do. It's pretty neat.
I had a cellie that used to ask him to come over and sage the cell all the time. Only one cellie, but every time I came home, he was into it. He got it done all the time. He hung with a lot of natives, but I have gone to the sweat lodge. They called it the Rainbow Tribe, and you could only do it one day a month. They did this. They would call it the Rainbow Tribe, and they would ask people from every culture, and they would invite people in. And I struggle with it, man. That it was rugged as hell. Those guys go in there and just hang out forever and
Right.
eat flatbread. I was in there like, I don't know whether I had too much chemicals in me or what, dude, but I was 15 minutes in there going, holy shit, I'm gonna pass out. I can't be in here any longer. Like, everybody brought in a bucket of water, like a gallon. I was through mine in 5 minutes going, what the hell's the matter with you people? They go out and they build the structure right over the top of this thing, and then they lay blankets, just prison blankets, one over the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got in there, first of all, I'm claustrophobic like hell. When I got in there was like 40 people already inside. I'm like, this sucks. I don't want anyone between me and the door. Yeah. But
you do
they're
rounds.
very friendly with the white boys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do. They call it rounds, and they do. How it's your manhood is judged by the many amount of rounds you can do in the lodge.
It's rugged. It really is.
It's hard.
It is hard. There was a motivational speaker that accidentally killed a bunch of people doing this.
Yes, down in Arizona. Yeah,
And he used to be on the same circuit. I would see him all the time. That cat was always in hotel rooms and things. Yeah.
But I mean, he would
never
basically starved everybody or dehydrated everybody, right? Before they put him in there. Or?
It's just he had no idea what he was doing. There was no safeguards put in place, to make sure that people were hydrated and all of this. He just wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he was making a crap load of money.
Yeah. Did you hear about that, Russ?
No, I didn't. When was it?
Oh yeah, it was some white dude, trying to do not white dude stuff.
That narrows it down. When was it? Was it recent?
No, it was a while ago.
I never heard
Does
of
helping
any of that.
others crank up dopamine? Absolutely.
Yes, it
Yes,
does.
dude.
100%. Science backs it up like nothing else. They call it servitude, right? Serving somebody else, giving to others with expecting nothing in return, and your brain will reward you with chemicals. And if you think about it, this makes a hell of a lot of sense, because we wouldn't survive out in the real world. I mean, we don't live in the real world, right? We don't. We have these beautiful things that surround us. I'm talking to people all over the world through this cool box in front of us. But if they pulled the plug on everything, which is how we all started, you had to have community. This whole connection thing, without it, you died, right? It was that simple. So Mother Nature had to reward you for coming together with other people in the tribe to work towards something. So if you're helping someone else to achieve success, Mother Nature says you're doing the right thing, and it will get you high for it.
Yep.
You don't believe me? Give it a shot.
It sure
It'll blow
will.
you away. Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Question. Do you get radio or entertainment, a TV room or something inside? Do y'all know Cool Breeze? Blues station. I do not know Cool Breeze.
I want to know
Sounds
though.
excellent. Cool
Yeah.
Breeze. You're listening to the dulcet tones of Tommy Scoble on Cool Breeze 107.5. Get your coffee, kick back. It's
97
going to be a long one.
Yeah,
Convicts
the future.
tuning in. You know what's funny? At Lewisburg, there's a radio station that's right down the street. And it's, you know those stations that have like 500,000 watts? I think this has got a watt and a half. I don't think they're broadcasting too much farther than the parking lot, but they get the prison. And these guys are locked down, some of them 7 years. And they've been in this lockdown unit. So they all write to the DJs who are college girls, right? And it's funny because these college women would say, hey, shout out to the boys behind bars up there in Lewisburg, so-and-so. And guys would blast each other. So-and-so requested the stroke for all you guys, all you gunners in G Block. And we're like, yes, who said this? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, but there were guys stabbing each other because the DJ kept shouting out one person's name in particular, and like Mycelli was one of the guys that literally was going nuts about it. He's like, before that fool got here, she used to shout my name out all the time. He's like, I've been my name in like 3 weeks. I was like, dude, take a deep breath, bro. He's up at night going on the floor. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Over the talk show host. The radio
That's
DJ.
funny. Yeah, that is fun.
What was that dude's name that used to do it for in California? He would do like oldies. This is from Shy Girl to Casper.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Classics. I don't
it's not
remember,
Art
but-
LeBeau. Oh, it is Art LeBeau.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's Art LeBeau. Yeah.
What a trip.
That's too
I
funny.
never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
I remember
Art
hearing
LeBeau.
it.
This one goes out to Casper from Shy Girl. Keep it real in Corcoran.
Some of them guys come out in the custom made khaki shorts that go way down almost to their ankles, and got the long white socks on, and
Yeah.
That's how I dress.
Yeah.
Headband perfectly this wide.
Yeah.
All the way around. And some Lokes, fool.
Yeah. Grace Flores.
Yeah.
Trace Flores.
And some Lokes, fool. Or some KDs.
Some Lokes.
Some murder ones.
Yeah, murder
Yeah.
ones. Or some KDs.
Yeah. That's how far back I go.
Hey, I was at the prison right before I went home. So I was at Terre Haute, and they were still selling. They still sold Lokes. So when I got my travel papers, I was buying a pair of Lokes every time I went to store, and I was having someone else buy them. And so all my socks were rolled up and put in shoes with a pair of Lokes in them. And I was like, I know where I'm going. They're not going to be selling Lokes. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And I got there and they weren't, and I was pimping. Everyone there wanted them. And I had one white pair. And I don't even like Lokes, but I kept the white pair just to be a dick because everybody wanted them.
That's funny. When I left Terre Haute, I bought a bunch of do-rags because they had stopped. They took do-rags off the thing.
Yeah.
And so when I got to R&D and they're checking in my property, the R&D guy's like looking at me. I'm white and I got 10 do-rags. He's like, "What are you doing with all these do-rags, man?" I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna sell them."
Pimping. Yeah, making big money.
Yeah.
The other one that was crazy was Casper will get a kick out of this. So I go through the SMU, and the SMU takes an eternity. Like it's years. So you don't even remember what the hell your property is. And when I got to the last phase of the SMU, you get your property. And it's crazy because it's been years, right? And I go down there and the guy's like, he goes, Country Time lemonade, pink lemonade mix. And I'm like, oh my God, right? This is 2 pounds of sugar. And the guy's like, yeah, you can have that. And then he picks out another one and he's like, I don't know how many of these you can have. I go, boss, what difference does it make? He sent me back there with 4. All together. It was 6 pounds of sugar.
Oh my God.
I'm vibrating the entire way back to the cell. I'm like, sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
We
been
got
so
coffee.
excited.
I was. But every idiot in there, they're like, everybody, they all started talking to each other. I told one white dude, because I wanted to sell half of the sugar. So I dump off half of it all at once. And I got 3 pounds. And I just want to make a batch for me. Like, I don't even want my celly drinking with me. I just want a batch for me. And I'm making my batch. And this fool tells everybody. So the whole unit's like, I swear to you, I talked to like 20 guys who are like, I'm in on that bag of wine. What's his name's making? I'm like, what are y'all doing? Shots? You know what I mean? Like, no one there is getting hammered. You're all just going to go, yeah, that would have been great. If I had a cup of it, I bet that would have been fun.
Right.
Dude, I've been
They ended
there
up
so
getting
many
caught
times.
because 2 guys, after promising it to the world, 2 guys got shit-faced, and then everybody else told on them. In a unit full of gangsters, in a unit full of the toughest of the tough, they all ratted on everybody.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no more
sad.
gangsters, bro. I'm sorry, but
There
they're
are,
really
man.
gone.
It's all
not.
fake, bro. It's all fake.
Part of the Pepsi generation.
The dulcet tones on Cool Breeze 107.5. Did you ever meet a man in prison that you knew
Shy
or
girl.
believed was 100% innocent?
Me.
See that? I was wondering if one of the 3 of us was going to say, yeah, me.
Me.
I figured it had to be at least 33%, right?
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
I was guilty. But
Me too.
yeah, I met someone that I would have bet the farm was innocent of the crime. I really do believe I met somebody that was innocent.
I never have. I mean, I've had people that were in there for contempt of court because they wouldn't tell. But other than that, no, I've never.
I met
Not
a
even got to
Mormon
talk
dude
to
that was in there for insider trading, and even by their own admission, he didn't make any money insider trading. He didn't profit from it. He allegedly just was telling people secrets and inside. They just want to put this dude away because he knows exactly what happened on that whole Benghazi thing. I got wicked spun. I'll admit this. I got wicked spun, and I stayed up for almost the whole time I was in Oklahoma at the transfer center, listening to the guy's entire story. And I was taking notes and shit. Like, I was writing stuff down because I'm like, when I get out, I'm looking you up because this just sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. But I don't think he did anything wrong, and they broke him off. Like, this is the kind of thing you get 10 years for. He got 27.
Oh my gosh.
27 years for insider trading that he didn't get paid on. That's a rugged
Jeez.
sentence right there.
Jeez, that's nuts, bro.
But I met 4,000 or 5,000 people that swore on a stack of Bibles they were innocent.
Of course.
I crap you not. There's a lot of people still sticking to their guns. I used to love telling them. I'd go, "Oof, not me."
I met a lot of double jeopardy guys, that they shouldn't have been charged again. I met a lot of those dudes that were in for unaliving someone, but through, selling them heroin. There was a lot of those dudes on the East Coast down south.
Oh yeah.
Like from Atlanta, the U.S. attorney must have just been cracking dudes off. If anyone OD'd at your house, you were hit. Yeah. Especially if they'd been watched. Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
They're not taking that crap anymore. It's because we've talked about this so many times on the lifeboat, but we're the United States of America, and we do a knee-jerk reaction better than any other country. So that's what we're doing right now. It's a big old knee-jerk reaction. So, me and Casper are hanging out. We're doing dope together, and he dies at my house. So now I'm going to be looking at 30 years. Well, the truth of the matter is the guy that drove off, who sold the dope, is the guy that you need to chase down. You know what I mean? The person he's with is just another dope fiend. Locking up dope fiends isn't going to put a dent in the war on drugs, I promise you.
No.
Nope.
Yeah, I promise
You
you.
have to go straight to the source.
Yeah. I lived with a kid for a while at Terre Haute that he was in there for that. And the girl didn't die. She tried hard as hell to. I mean, she was in a coma for a long time and everything else, and she ended up pulling out after a really long time. But when she got her the medical records, he subpoenaed all that crap. She had like 4 milligrams of alprazolam, a Xanax, 4 milligrams in her body. So it's like he sells her some smack that she does. She didn't even bang it. She smoked it. But because she had this stuff on her, that's him. It's on him no matter what else she took. She had drinks. Like, she was partying. And then she just put a little bitty bit of that brown on top, and that was the end of it. She went out, and it almost got her. But even though she didn't pass, he got 25. They just tossed that out like it was...
Yeah, that's so crazy, man.
And as the fellas would say, That'll hold them.
That'll
It's always,
Play to win.
always been one of my favorites. Dude,
Yeah.
they gave him 30. That'll hold them. It's always the old men, too.
Yeah,
Everybody else is
that'll
always
hold 'em.
going, damn. But the old men never want to look like anything in there shocked them.
Yeah,
Hey, man, today at the chow hall, somebody cut off someone's head. Saw that once in 77.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty rough. You know, nothing shocks this old man.
A lot of stuff
Right.
happened in the 70s, man. Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
got
was
it was
pictures.
live.
Yeah, I was in with a couple guys that were, well, more than a couple that were going through the 70s and 80s, some of the 90s.
Yeah, it was live
they seen
then.
all.
It was
Yeah,
live.
it was.
Yeah.
It was real.
Right around the time of the, what was it called? The Mariana boat lift. When all those cats from Cuba came over here, they dumped all
yeah.
the Cuban prisons.
Yep.
Those guys all ended up in the feds, and it was a pretty wild time inside. I guess it was bad for everybody involved. You know, it just got really crazy.
Libertad, libertad, libertad. La
Why do
venga!
guys demand DNA tests for appeal when they know it's theirs? That's a great question, Jess. Great question. And this is an epidemic. These guys say, no, I want a DNA test, and they fight like hell in the courts to get it done. And then the DNA comes back, and they go, yeah, no, it's you. It's you. Happens all the time. And the answer to
I
the
haven't heard of
question
that.
is there's 38 little blots on a roulette wheel, right? Who the hell would put any money on 1 in 38? Well, they're building
Yeah.
casinos, right? This guy's got nothing to lose, Jess. He is out of every other option. So what they're hoping is that girl down at the lab, maybe she smokes weed. Or the guy that's working at the lab, maybe he's just not very good at what he does. Maybe they contaminate the, it gets confused with somebody else. This is their last shot. This is their Hail Mary. Why the hell not? I think desperation. I really do believe that. You know, they're just, they're hoping for, what else have you got to lose? Even if it's going to prove you're guilty, you got a shot that something happens. That's one in 900 million to one. You know, why not?
The thing I hate about that, yeah, dude, I would do it. I mean, I would do it. But what I hate about it is you're taking those, because those lawyers that do that, that try to get people that are innocent out, they're overworked. They're usually doing it pro bono. You know what I mean? You know, Tommy, and you too, Russ. Those, and so you're taking away from someone that really could. But I would do it.
I would
I'd try to get
Absolutely.
out.
I mean, the desperation in inmates, when you start getting down toward the end and there's no other options left to, it's a pretty rugged thing. And I can't imagine, right? The longest sentence I ever had was not, one of those numbers that really scares it'll hold you, but it wasn't one of those, 40 or 50 year sentences that you hear. But when you see someone that comes to the realization of how much their life they just flushed down the toilet, it's a pretty rugged moment. I watched this poor black kid. I've told this story a lot, and it sounds funny, but it was awful. When you are leaving the jail, the Con Air jail in Oklahoma, you get on this long ass wooden bench before you get brought onto the plane, and there'll be 200 people on the bench. They got them lined all the way up like sardines, and you're one against the other. And this really old black guy says to this youngster, he goes, "You just coming in, son?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "How much time did you get?" And he goes, "They gave me 25 years." And this old man goes, "25 years? God damn." And he keeps saying it over and over again. "Man, I would hang myself. I would jump off the rack with a broom in my mouth. 25 years." And he just keeps doing it. And I'm like, "Hey, Pops, give the kid a break, man. He's going through it." And the kid's like rocking back and forth at this point. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. I got 10 and I wanted to take myself off of planet Earth. 25 years. I'm like, "Hey, for real." I was getting bummed out.
That's a lot of time for one kid.
It's like 25 years. "Man, you ain't even been on the planet that long, have you?" I'm like, "Hey, Pops, let the kid go, man."
That ain't right.
Have you ever read Nick Yaris's book, Fear of 13? Why do I know the name Nick Yaris?
I know the name Nick Yaris. I don't know that. I must have heard of that book.
That name does sound familiar.
You know
I'm
what?
gonna write
If
it
you
down
could-
though.
If you could tell me what that book's about, I feel like I read it. I know the name Nick Yaris. What other books is Nick? If I didn't read that, I read something he did because that name is. I definitely read things by that name.
Oh
A
man, you ought to
person was
look.
just
Yeah,
released in Chicago.
he
Oh
he
wow!
writes on
And thank you for the
prosecution.
support, Mindy. I'm sorry. Go
That's
ahead,
awesome.
Russ.
He writes on prosecution, conviction, and exoneration, post exoneration activities, lawsuits, and personal life and all that stuff. He writes a bunch of stuff. He's definitely he did a lot of time. He spent years on death row. He was on
Oh,
death
I know
row
who. Yeah, I know
when that
exactly
guy.
who this is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
one guy.
yeah. I know exactly who this is.
That's why he looks so familiar.
Yeah. A person was just released here in Chicago after 27 years because new evidence says he was innocent. How or why would that take 27 years if the person was claiming innocence? No one could take notice. It's a great question, and the answer is kind of simple. It really is. The technology wasn't around when these people got convicted.
Right.
So the evidence shit goes onto the shelf. And then they have already exhausted their appeals. They get one shot. So their appeal system, they're already done. They appealed. So now there's this new technology that could vindicate them, but there's not even a legal remedy to get into court to get them to look at the DNA. Because you have to have legal remedy. Like the guy that put his knee on Derek Chauvin, the guy that put his knee on Floyd's neck and killed him. He's in the federal system. He has exhausted his appeals, which means if 2 weeks from now they come out and go, hey, you know what? We were wrong. As it turns out, this guy had so much of this stuff in his system that he was dead one way or the other. And the new autopsy says that doesn't matter. That you don't have a mechanism to get it back into court. As crazy as that sounds, when his appeal got turned down, I did a show about this and I said, homeboy is done. It's so difficult to get them to say, all right, screw it, bring it back in. Normally you need to have had an effective counsel, or there has to be some other way to get the door open. Now you can get in. And yes, I mean, legally that you should be able to say, well, Your Honor, there's new evidence. But it isn't new evidence, is it? New technology allows them to, and they do X number of those cases annually. There's a budget to go through those, but the backlog's insane, and everybody screams they're innocent. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But it's pretty sad when that happens, isn't it?
Man, it's the worst.
I mean, part of you wants to go, thank God they're free, and the other part of you goes, 27 years, no life.
Yeah.
You took their life. You know, I mean, great, they get to die on the cool side of the gate, but you took their life, man.
But if their family doesn't have money, I watched the thing on this black dude that got out after all these years. There was a documentary on Netflix or something, but his family didn't have money. Yeah, his sisters tried to take care of him, and he just and he had no Medicare, no insurance. So he when he got sick, he would have stayed alive longer had he stayed in prison. So there, it just, what do you want? It's either the quality of life or the whatever.
I'd rather die free.
Whatever I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Are Robert Greene's books allowed in California in the feds? They're allowed in the feds.
Yes.
There are very few books that are restricted in the feds. Very, very
Right.
few.
They're
If they
allowed
happen
in
to be on the
states.
sovereign citizen movement, they are banned. And they got really weird about what was the name of that series of books about what your personality type was, and the power of persuasion. All of those books all got kind of banned there for a while. They didn't want them bringing in, but I had them, so couldn't have really been that bad. They always let me get through stuff with them. I can't think of the name of the book right now. It's got the cover that goes down like this, like a pyramid.
Yeah.
It's where you go in and you read, and it tells you what your personality type is. It's kind of the how to hustle people book is what they claim it is, but they don't. That's really not stricken.
Yeah.
No, nothing's stricken in California. You can get anything you want, except Playboy.
Can you get to like the cookbook? and
Anarchist
things like
cookbook?
that? Yeah.
Right.
The feds will not let you have that. The feds will not let you have the anarchist cookbook. There's a couple of things, but it's rare that they ban anything. But do you get compensation if you're found to be wrongfully incarcerated? It depends on how you choose to leave, as bad as this is. Because a lot of times what they'll say is they'll give you this like Alfred plea, so that you're saying they're not saying you're innocent, but they're just kind of going to let you out, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to sue. And if you get a guy that's been sitting in prison for 25 years and they say to you, well, we might be able to let you out, but we don't want you. I'll do whatever you want, man. You know, most guys aren't going to go, no, I'll go back in and sit for a while because I'd rather sue you. You know, so sadly, a lot of times deals get cut where these guys don't get a lot of money, and that's awful. But I think we're getting better at it. You know, as a country and as a penal system, we don't like to admit when we're wrong very often. But he said,
Yeah, they don't like to say, yeah, we're wrong. Sorry about that until they're forced to. And some
Fact.
states won't. Some states have a law where they won't pay out. They don't have that clause or whatever. So you're just out of luck.
Hey, Tommy, have we ever talked about the book Education of a Felon? You and me?
I don't know that we have.
Have you ever read it?
I have not even heard of it.
You never heard of Education of a Felon? Oh wow.
I have not.
Okay. Good. Well, now I know what to get you for your birthday or Christmas.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a good one for sure. I'll tell you what,
Oh
though.
my God.
One of my top 5 favorite books was recommended by you, and maybe 2 out of my top 10. Unlondon, which I don't even remember if you read. I think you boycotted it and said, I'm not going to read this, or did you read it?
No, I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was to me, that's almost a, I'm not saying it's on par with Alice in Wonderland, because that's a really tall order. But it's that kind of book. It has that kind of feel, and it's
so good.
absolutely wonderful. It really is.
Yeah.
Both of those. You made 2 recommendations while we were incarcerated, and I read both books that you recommended, and they were both excellent. So
Awesome. Yeah.
I'll give
Education of a
this next
Felon.
one a shot.
Huge.
You're batting 1,000 though. You do know there's a lot of pressure on you after those 2.
Oh, this one might
It was
be your top one
Shadowram.
after you read it.
Yeah, it was Shadowram and Unlondon. These are tough to come on the heels of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
come correct.
Those make pillars
That's
of the
what I'm
earth
saying.
look like.
Bring it strong, brother.
I will, dude. It's written by that dude Bunker, the guy who was in he wrote Basketball Diaries and
Oh no way!
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no way! There's
Yeah.
There's a really good chance I did read this then, and
Yeah,
I just
it's
probably
his life
don't know
story,
the name.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's his real
I know
life
the
story.
book. I know
Yeah.
the book. Yeah,
Super good.
great author and artist. Just
Yeah.
an amazing
Artist.
You're
He's an
talking
artist,
about
yeah.
Jim.
No, it's Bunker is his last name.
Archie.
The Basketball
always think-
Diaries are written by Jim Connor. Jim.
Oh well, then he didn't write Basketball Diaries.
Okay.
This is written by the guy who was in Reservoir Dogs. Something Bunker. But anyway,
Okay. Well, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
I'm sorry.
I love a good read.
I thought he wrote Basketball Diaries. That's my fault.
The guy who wrote Basketball Diaries was the same guy who was in the band that sang "Those Are People Who Died." The Jim Connell band, Jim O'Connor band. Jim, somebody help me.
Why don't you do your radio station voice and figure it out?
Ah,
Edward Bunker is the guy's name.
Hold on.
Who wrote Education of a Felon? Killer book, man. Killer book.
Jim Carroll. Sorry.
Yeah, Jim
Carroll
Carroll
is the author of the Basketball Diaries and a couple of other books of poetry, and he had a band and had a hit song called "People Who Died." Jimmy sniffing glue. He was 12 years old. Fell from the roof on East 29. Kind of a punk song. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug. 26 Reds and a bottle of wine. It's a pretty cool song, believe it or not.
No, it's a great
There
song.
you go, Jim Carroll. See, the Run with the World got it. My Jim Carroll people. Jim Carroll was an amazing, amazing person. The first time I ever saw that somebody that was a junkie could be talented was Jim Carroll. I remember reading his poetry where he described the nod, and at that point in my life, I was pretty damn strung out. And the fact that that a guy could take words and make that feeling understood was just so wild to me. It really was. Jim Carroll was incredible. I was pretty bummed out when he passed, actually.
Look at the
Syringe was at half mast. What?
I want you to look at the cover to this book. This is a great cover.
Oh, here we go.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Thanks
is a
for
good
working
cover.
the camera. Thanks,
Yeah.
Casper. By the way, I've gotten a couple calls from GQ magazine wanting to interview me because of your picture thing.
Not at all surprised.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I owe you one for that, buddy. Good looking out.
Yeah. It was fun, man. It's fun for me. It's fun for me.
Does getting a life sentence make a prisoner more dangerous, or does it make it easier for his car to make him commit more crimes inside? You know, it depends, I think, on how old someone is when they get that life sentence. Here's a good rule of thumb for prison. Youngsters suck.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Youngsters
I'll say
are
about
awful.
that.
They screw up in prison, and they screw it up fast. They're always
Yep.
trying to hurt people. They want tattoos for hurting people, and they're all just running around like a bunch of idiot crash test dummies trying to put work in, and I hate youngsters in
If
prison.
they're alive after
Me too.
15 years, they'll look back and say the same thing about anybody else new coming.
Oh yeah. it's
Correct.
just-
Yeah.
You're 100%
Yeah,
right.
okay.
They'll be shitting on all the youngsters going, God, I hate kids.
Yeah. Was I like
Screw
this?
up
I
a
wasn't
yard.
like that. No, you were like that, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I
you
was
were.
when I was in Nevada, they said to me, hey, how would you like to get time and a half for the time you're doing? So instead of getting your normal good time, so basically I would have been doing halftime, and I was like, hell, sure. What does that entail? And they said, well, there's this place called Gene, and it's gladiator camp, and we're trying to get some older guys out there too. I said, yeah, I'm going no, I'm
Yeah.
good. Right, I'm going to be the voice of reason on a freaking yard full of kids in their 20s. You got a better chance
Yeah,
of seeing
I'm
God
good,
with
dude.
sunglasses.
I can barely stand it out here being around 20-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
For
I know
real.
that.
For real.
Kristen just asked a good question, too.
At what age is a one no longer a youngster? When they stop acting like a moron. Sometimes it happens in their 20s. You'll meet some people that were never youngsters.
Yeah.
You know, but usually they come in and they're like, show me how to make alcohol. Which one of you's got a binky? Huh? Who's got dope? And you're like, oh shit, here we go, dude. Nose
Right.
wide the hell open, man. Just happy as hell, straight off the bus. Huh? Do I have to pay? What do I got to do? It's the
They
worst,
just
dude.
retire them in the States.
Dude, that is so funny, dude.
You know I'm right,
Yeah,
bro.
That's what it
You know
is. That's what you feel off them dudes, man.
And the worst was I got to Victorville, and I swear to you, the whole bus ride, bro, the whole bus ride, like I'm trying to be a stand-up dude, and the whole bus ride, I'm going, I'm not doing dope on this yard. Like I'm not gonna get into the game. I'm not gonna get high. I'm not gonna go find the boys that are doing dope. Like yeah, for real, rocking back and forth, bro. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And I get in and I meet the head of SIS, Santana, in case you're watching. And I get in there and he goes, ooh, looking at your file, you do a bunch of dope, don't you? Son of a bitch. You know, he's turning the pages and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not doing any of that here. I said, for
Why is
real,
there a
man,
bag in there?
I ain't doing any of that here. And he goes, oh, good. Because it's probably cheaper here than you were getting it on the street. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at him and he's like, yeah, he goes, and he keeps turning the pages. He's like, oh, you were doing speedballs? Because there's blow all over this yard too. He's like, I mean,
Yeah.
for $150, you could probably get you a couple grams of each. And he's turning, I'm going like this. I'm sitting in the chair like, I'm sorry, boss, how long does this meeting take? Can you just kick me out to the yard? Because now my
they're giving
nose
you
is
a
this
queef
wide.
with
And I'm
every
like,
paper. Yeah.
let
Remember
no
them
breaks
getting
Tommy
a
out.
bunch of coke? Yeah. Yeah.
You got fresh track marks, all that good stuff.
For real, bro. For real. It was just, yeah, I couldn't believe it.
was
When I
funny.
finally left the building, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he was trying to get me fired up. Like, you know what I mean? He was getting me cranked up. Maybe he's in business with the dope dealers here, but this fool had me
Yeah.
ready to go. By the time
Yeah.
I walked through that door, I was like, so apparently there's every pill I could ever want. There's tar, there's this. And then I got in the unit and I said to a guy, I go, hey man, what's a gram going for in here? And he goes, $100. I was like, it's $100 a gram in here? It's like 120 on the street, man. And I'm like, what are they, yard grams? And he goes, the hell's a yard gram? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, youngster, most people take a real one and cut it in half. He's like, no, it's a gram. And they really were. They were $100 a piece, so it was just all bad,
Well, there
Yeah.
goes
all
my
bad.
sobriety.
California, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was just yeah, youngsters all over the place too. In fact, the one that
Right.
stabbed me and got me out of that. As far as it goes, like everybody will badmouth the hell out of Victorville, but if you had a habit, like there was not a different prison to be at. If you had a habit, that was the prison to be at because it was just
Yeah.
not only did
Yeah.
everybody have it, but you have a vision of being on the street where somebody goes, "All right, man, give me your money," and they take your cash, and inside they just go, "Oh, what? You want something? Yeah, no, come here." Right? And then they take out the book that never forgets, and they go, "You know where this puts you at, don't you? Yeah, don't say it out
Yeah.
loud, for fuck's sake. Don't say it out loud. I know where I'm at,
Yeah.
man,
Hey, the dudes are walking up to you like getting in their belt, their little elastic, Hey, you get
Yep.
high? You get high? They just want to give it to you. They
Fresh
just wanna
off the
give it to you.
bus.
Yeah.
And if you say to them, "Oh no, listen, dude, I don't have money on my books. I don't have people." "Oh no, no trip, dude. What?
Yeah.
What's July 4th? Get it to me on Christmas. What do you want?
Yeah.
4 grams?" Well,
crazy.
shit, I thought I needed money. Make it 7.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
Thinking
It's
you're not
nuts,
going to
bro.
walk out of there. You're just going to go
Yeah.
off yourself.
What's crazy
Yeah.
is none of that's an exaggeration.
no, I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. It's
No,
exactly how
not
it
even a
was.
little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
And at that same yard, I go to get my clothing. Day one, you got to go in and get your clothing. And the woman who's running it, it's a black lady. She's the cop, and she's like this, mouth wide the hell open. I mean, out. Like this woman is gone. I'm like, what the deuce? And the guy says to me, he goes, "Hey, puts a blade, right? Puts a friendly, big silver number, puts it between the
Yeah.
pants. He's like, don't go to the yard without that." And
Yeah.
once again, I was like, "Oh, you know what? There was dope everywhere. It sounded so good. Now I'm carrying a blade. This place sucks." But I didn't actually have to carry that blade. I mean, it sounded good, but I never ever took that thing out of the house.
Nah.
I didn't have any beef with anybody until the day I got stabbed, and I didn't even
Yeah.
have beef with him.
Yeah.
Are prisoners who are mentally ill a common occurrence?
I want to answer that.
Guys that should be in a psych ward or a mental institution? Probably only about 40% of the population. Not more than that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd say
what I was
30,
Go ahead,
40%. Some yards more than others. It depends on what kind of psych department they have at that institution. But it's bad. It's
Yeah.
real bad.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of cuckoo people. And
Yeah.
again,
When I was in,
no
yeah.
universities and no churches. They gather these people up in the worst of the places, and a lot of them, sadly, I think with solid mental health, a lot of these people probably never would have ended up in prison in the first place. That's a sad reality of our system. Is there's a lot of people in there that are far more sick than they are evil. I tell the story all the time, and I will do it until I'm no longer doing YouTube. But there's a story of a black guy that they executed down south, and it's a whole story of executions and why it shouldn't be legal to execute people. And the guy asked, you could have a big list of all the things you want for your last meal, and one of them was a chocolate cake, and they got him a small one, and they found it under the bed hidden. And they were like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm saving it for later." And like, this dude doesn't understand that when he goes down to that room to be executed, there's no later.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what that means, then they probably shouldn't be executing you.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? Like that's
Yep.
cruel and unusual punishment. That doesn't make any kind of sense. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are just kind of Forrest Gumpy, not necessarily mentally ill, but are just slow as hell. There are some people in there that are just, I don't know how to say this nicely, just dim-witted,
Autistic.
Yeah.
Autistic.
Well, I
I would
don't
say
even know if it's autistic. Just not bright. There are some people that got in there because they couldn't come up with another way to make a living that wasn't illegal. Sadly, I mean, you really meet some people in there that are that didn't have the advantages that a lot of us do. I mean, even from birth of just being fairly normal. Oh
Yeah.
God, here's a question for both of you.
Great.
Uh-oh.
What are your feelings on K2 or Spice?
Ah.
Real quick, I never saw anybody on it back in the day when I was in there. It
Oh,
was
geez.
real
Yeah.
weed and all that.
Well, let me take this one then.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
So I think it's evil. I think it's crazy. And what's super crazy is there's so many people that do it inside. It's an epidemic inside of the nth to the nth degree. You know what I mean? It's so bad. These dudes are just taking their clothes off and running out the yard to the door. I've seen that twice. White boys, both of them. But a lot of our Hispanic brothers smoke it, you know, and they just get all weird and sit at the end of the bed and do this, or everyone has their own little weird thing. It's either I had one dude, I told him, yeah, you always go for a bike ride when you do it, because he just sits there with his legs like he's pedaling. One guy, he would just go like this on his locker for, you know, a half hour.
My favorites are the ones that lock up.
Yeah. I seen one dude dive on the ground and he was like swimming on the cement. I've seen it all with spice. I've done it one time and I got under my cover with my knife and I just laid there till it went off. Till it wore off.
Yeah, I was at Victorville.
It's addictive.
And,
highly addictive.
Yeah, highly
physically.
addictive. The shot caller says to me, he lived right next door to me. He was a Mexican fellow of the southern part of the state, and he had the yard. But I went over every morning to get high. It was just what I did every morning. He got his dope for free because he was the shot caller, and we would just get wasted, you know. And I went over, and he's like, "Man, the guy hasn't passed it yet. You know, he's got a bunch of balloons inside him." He's like, "We're just waiting for it to pass." And I'm like, well, "I don't feel good, bro." And he goes, "Yeah, we're all going to smoke a little tune, a little K2." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. And he's like, "Well, it'll keep you from feeling dope sick until the stuff gets here." I said, "For sure?" He goes, "For sure." And this was a rare unit that they've got at Victorville. It's actually a 3-man cell. Each unit has one of them, and they're big as crap. And they don't put 3 guys in it anymore. They did away with that. So one of the bunks is just a couch. It's the coolest cell in the world.
That's cool.
I'm in there sitting on the couch with a couple of other fellas, and there's a few dudes sitting on. So there's probably 7 guys in there, and they light this joint. And when it gets to me and I hit this thing, they keep telling me, "Yeah, it's like weed. You know, hey, it's like weed. It's nothing like weed, man."
No.
So I hit this thing, and I'm like, and right about there, I'm not exaggerating. Like I go, and I knew I was in deep shit. Like I made an error, you know. It was that PCP kind of buzz, where the second you hit it, you're like, "Oh no!" Right? It just comes out, and no joke, big ass, huge gangbangers, right? Of white guys and Southerners, all of these gangbangers sitting in there in a circle, and everybody went around in circles like it was the talking stick, like it was your turn, rocking back and forth, going, "Man, I ain't having fun, dude." And the next guy going, "This shit ain't no joke, man." And the next dude going, "How long is this gonna last, man?"
No joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
This ain't no joke. And it would go around in circles, one after another. And it got to me, I'm like, "Why did you guys get me to do this?" You know? And everybody just took their turn. It was miserable, bro.
Boxers.
Yeah. Miserable, bro. Miserable. And when it was done, this is the craziest shit. There's like 7 of us. It gets to the end. And the shot caller, like, he's a dope fiend. I know this guy. Like, he and I do dope every day. And when we got to the end of it, the guy was like, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Is dude past that shit yet?" He's like, "Because I'm going to twist up another one of these." And I was like, you know, like I was terrified. Like, "You're going to do that again on purpose?" I thought this was an experiment. It didn't go well. Yeah. You're going to do it again? But my friend, dude, we called him G, and there's Goofy. But Goofy said to me, he's like, "Bro, I ain't doing that shit again, man." He's like, "I'm never doing that stuff again." And I was like, "I'm with you." 3 weeks later, you know, they were same thing, waiting for a guy to pass stuff or waiting for a guy to come back to visit, you know. And he's like, "Hey, I'm going to twist up one of those." I'm like, "I'm going to my cell." Like, "Me, you got a short memory. I got a good memory. I'm never doing that crap ever again." It was terrifying.
Yeah, right? Man. I don't understand. I don't understand it.
Well, the worst part of the whole experience is I'm like, I don't want to be in this room anymore listening to these guys freaking out. So I've always bullied my way through any buzz I couldn't handle. So I'm like, I'm going down to my cell. I'm just going to take a shower. Everything is groovy, man. And I go downstairs, right, and I grab my towel, and I go in there and I grab a quick shower. And as I'm coming back, man, I'm like, I'm getting everything put up, and I come back outside and I'm getting ready for lockdown. And it occurred to me that the 9:30 thing was the AM, not the PM. And any drug that will make you shit away 12 hours in your head, have no idea. Like, honestly, I'm turning the sheets down and shit, like getting ready to go in. They're coming by doing census. I'm like, why the hell isn't he locking the door? Right? Why isn't he locking the door? He's like, it's daytime. It's daytime. Yeah, I was miserable. I can't stand substances I can't control.
No.
Right.
And what's crazy, this is the craziest thing. And like you said, like, you're going to do that to yourself again? And you will tell a kid, and they're all kids mostly, like, look, dude, you're done, because he's in your car. If you do it again, you're probably going to get stabbed. You're done because you're causing too much trouble.
Right.
They'll tell you, I won't ever do it again. I promise. That by the next hour you hear, oh man, old dude took off on a cop, or he ran out the unit naked, or he did something crazy, that he did it again. He'll swear to you, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. I don't understand, bro. I don't understand.
The guy in my vent called, hit the buzzer, and you can hear it going off, right? And he's hitting the panic buzzer, and the cop shows up and he goes, what's your emergency? And he goes, I got blood in my vomit. He goes, what? He goes, I got blood in my vomit. Tons of it. I got blood in my vomit. And he had pounded a bunch of those cherry packets, the Jim Jones ones, the little itty bitty ones. So he drank like 10 or 12 of these things before he went to sleep. And he started smoking on that tune, and it made him vomit. So he saw all the stuff coming back up, and he's like, he thought he was bleeding out, and he's freaking the hell out. They had to bring a wheelchair and tape him into it. But I'm in the vent loving it because I know what's up. He's not in any danger. And he keeps going, I got blood in my oxygen. I got blood in my oxygen. They're like taping him to the chair. I've seen guys scream at the top of their lungs. I watched a guy fall off the top rail like this, big, tall dude, roll back like this, laughing, and stick it perfectly. Man. Like did a flip, came off the top, and landed on his feet and went, like stuck the landing, all freaked out. Yeah, one crazy event after. They call them episodes.
Yeah.
They happen so often they don't go, ooh, somebody freaked out on drugs. They had an episode in Unit 3. Yeah. They're locking down the whole place. Now just Unit 3.
Yep.
Episodes.
And they were doing it at the halfway house. They called it the K2 crew. They would all get together at the halfway house too and go smoke. It was just nuts, bro.
It's a terrible drug. It's way closer to PCP than it is weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know you like getting wet.
A dip. Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Like the double dip Sherman Helmsley,
Sherman Helmsley.
I did one time, and I went in my buddy's van and fell asleep in the back. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. He shut me down. I was asleep in the bushes. I got up, I just crawled my way to his van, and went in the back and fell asleep. I was out.
Yeah,
checks out. Checks out. That's what happens when you get wet. Usually you're in the window by the window of the car doing the. Why did I do this?
Why did I do this?
It's fun.
10 hours. 10 hours in the back of that van.
Nothing like a little embalming fluid.
But you said it perfect. This shit ain't no joke. This shit ain't no joke.
This shit ain't no joke, man. This ain't no fun. Why do we do this shit, man? How long is this going to last? And then as soon as it's done, they're like, yeah, let's do that again. I had a big homie that was in the shoe, and he says to me, hey, can you move some of this stuff? I got a bunch of it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'll come up, right? At this point, why not, man? He sends me over a sheet of paper this big, like one of them long-ass yellow legal pad pages. And I'm like, dude, how much do you want for that? And he's like, $8,000. I'm like, we ain't on the same page, brother. I thought you were going to send me a stamp and ask me to get you 5 flat books and shit. Like, we're not on the same page. Yeah. Can I send this back to you? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I send it back in an envelope, and he sends me back over a business card-sized chunk of it. Right? And I was like, so I put it on the desk. I'm not smoking that shit. I know what it is. So I get a celly, and he goes, he's cleaning stuff up, and I go, oh, don't throw that out. I'm like, that's tune. This is what they called it at Victorville. I'm like, that's tune. Yeah. Man. And he goes, oh, bro, can I hit that? And I'm like, man, if it flips your switch, I'm not, I don't like this stuff. He's like, how much should I do? I go, this very little amount would probably be a good idea. I've not tried it, but that's usually a best way to start. And he did it out of the toilet paper roll. He gets set up. Yeah. Hits a little out of the toilet paper roll. And then, I'm not kidding you, he gets, so you know what the cells look like. The crapper's right next to the door. Okay, well, he's standing like he might be puking into the toilet, right? But he's locked up, bent in half, like the people you see on Kensington. He's just bent in half. And I'm looking at my watch. I know exactly what time this cop's walking. I know exactly what time. And I'm like, bro, hey, sit down on the friggin' bed, man. Cop's walking in 10 minutes. Get your shit together. Get on the bed. You know?
Yeah.
Lock the hell up. So
And
10
that-
minutes.
they do a wobble.
Now we're
They
on
do
3
that,
minutes.
yeah.
I'm like, I go, bro, I'm going to ear hole you. I'm going to punch you as hard as I can in the side of the head, dude. You're not getting me caught. Man, sit down on the toilet, do whatever. And as the cop's coming by, I got a magazine in my hand. And I'm holding it in front of the guy, pointing at the magazine. Like, why the hell you'd be bent over? You know, but I got the magazine right in front of his face, like, yeah, that's the turbo version. Hey, boss. You know? And so as he goes walking by, I'm like, he's walking again in 30 minutes, asshole. If you were at that, if you're still bent over like that in 30 minutes, I swear to you, I'm really going to kill you. I'm just going to choke you out and leave you for dead.
Yep. Yeah.
As soon as he unfroze, he's like, whoa, bro, that shit's fire. I'm like, you bent in half and didn't move for an hour and 5 minutes, man.
They love it.
You want to...
Frozen
around, you know? Or for real, what happened? You have to smoke this where you are. In other words, I'm comfortable with you being on your rack. You must smoke on your rack.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have you locked up on the toilet or in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
You know, doing this friggin' statue.
And they go like this. They go like this. They go.
Yeah, they can't move. They vibrate.
Yeah, they
It's
have
the
a wobble.
scariest thing you've ever seen. And
Super
look,
scary, bro.
I'm no drug prude. Like, I've been going hard to the paint for most of my adult life. You know, I've been sober a shorter period of time than I spent wasted. Like, I'm not a drug snob. I don't drug shame. But this stuff, nah, man, this stuff is absolutely the most foul substance in the world. And somebody had his mom smuggle in the stuff in powdered form. And then you can cut it yourself and put it on stuff. But you're supposed to have denatured alcohol. These guys couldn't find denatured alcohol, so they used floor stripper. They used floor stripper and this powder. And the crazy thing is everybody knew it. And these guys were going, bro, you got to get the powder back in and cut it with the floor stripper. Like, F that denatured alcohol stuff. Do the floor stripper. And I'm sitting, honestly, in the card room going, do you hear yourself? Right?
Yeah.
I want to smoke the floor stripper shit. Right? And I'm not known for this, but put your foot on the bigger pedal. Right? Not the thin one. The wide one. Pump it a couple of times because you're going way too hard. And I ran a cluck shop. And if you don't know what this is when you got a lot of stamps laying around. You let the junkies come by and give you stuff, and you give them. You're a pawn shop in prison, right? They call it clucking. And guys would come by and be like, "Hey, Rock, can I cluck a radio?" And you'd be like, "All right, let me see the radio, bro." And they'd give it to you. And it's like the battery case is blown off, right? And they got duct tape.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're tied it together with pieces of sheet. And they're like, "Can you give me one book for it, bro?" And you're like, "It's not worth $6, dude. I'm not giving you $6 for this." I'm like, "You're just gonna go buy one hit. 10 minutes from now, you're gonna be in here going, 'Hey, Rock, can I cluck this?' And I'm gonna be like, 'No, I have khakis. They give them to you, right? Those are issue. You can't treat them with clothing." For real, bro. They would cluck anything, anything the value they would give to you, and it's just it's the saddest shit in the world. You would go in my cell, and I'd have 25 pair of shoes under my bed. Because these guys would buy these shoes when their parents sold them money for $110, and then they'd cluck them for 2 flat books so that they could take 2 more hits of that shit. They smoke it like crack.
Yep.
It's not something that you don't puff a J and sit down for 6 hours and chill like you do on weed. You hit this thing, you get weird as hell and act all stupid for about 20 or 30 minutes and then do it again. There's my opinion on K2.
Yeah,
I think we can all say
no
it's
joke.
officially a thumbs down from the convicts.
Triple thumbs down.
Didn't really work
That'd be
out.
a good thumbnail right there. Yeah, double thumbs down.
Double thumb. Hell no.
Okay. She needs the book, not the Jim Carroll one, but the other book. I believe it was called Lessons for Convicts. Is that what it was?
Education of a Felon.
Yeah.
I was really
Educational
close.
felon.
Lessons for
Lessons
Convicts.
for
Education of a Felon. I was close. I was
You were
really
super close.
You know, we should get together and write a book like that. Yeah, like Convicts for Dummies or Dummies for Convicts or something.
Do you know what's crazy?
It's so good.
I wrote down all of the expressions when I was in the shoe. I wrote down all of them, and I have it. I didn't write down the definitions. We would all have to get together because I thought at the time I'll remember what all of these mean, and now I look at some of the words that we wrote down, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Put a paragraph like a little dictionary and just send it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
Well, this
Un-London. I'm sorry. The name of the book was Un-London. Now,
oh yeah, on London.
This is not going to be. This is not a novel. This is a kid's book, but it's a kid's book worth reading. Un-London is
Yeah.
really cool. The other
Yep.
one was called Shadowram. That's the other book that he recommended for me. And if I do not end this stream, I will officially turn into a pumpkin.
Yes, sir.
As I got to get to work again tomorrow morning. But all of you, do come and check us out tomorrow. You know the
Yep.
after the and look at that puppy. Are you kidding me?
My pit bull.
And I will be
literally
editing
may be the
tonight.
cutest animal in the world.
Yeah, she's my tiny.
It rivals my brother's little white satanic cat that he got.
I
Oh,
love
she's
that
cute,
cat.
but don't let her fool you, man.
I
Friggin'
love
cat.
that animal.
Yeah,
Well,
She
awesome
needs to be
show,
put
guys.
Yeah,
and I don't
great,
mean
man.
get rid of her. I just mean put her down, like walk by and go, you don't do anything. You're working uncoordinated. Your feet are too big for your body, like that kind of put down. All right, people. Thank you for spending time with us. We will be back next week. We really appreciate you guys coming out. This is a fun program. We have a really good time doing it. So please come back next week.
Yes.
If we didn't get to your question, it's Casper's fault. Between now and the next time we see you, people, please reach out and try to save somebody. Have a great night.